Welcome, kayak anglers. You are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax. Let's do this.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a live stream edition of Chasing the Tide. It's your saltwater connection on the Paddle and Fin podcast. I'm your host, Dustin Nichols, here tonight, and we're going to recap the first event of the Florida Redfish Series. That was also a Hobie Saltwater Series qualifier. Let me switch this over here and start to see if we have anybody commenting. See what's going on. Feel free to ask questions. Tonight we have Chris Harwood, who is the director, runs the Florida Redfish Series. And then we have the guy who took the top spot at the event, Brian Neal. Got both of them in the house tonight, waiting on Carlos Gutierrez to jump on. Hopefully you'll join us shortly, and possibly Andrew Imes. Chris.
Hey, man.
Brian. Hey, welcome, guys. Glad to have y'all on tonight. Appreciate y'all taking the time out of y'all's schedule to join me and recap this. You know, it's something that I've been trying to do. You know, the seems like all the bass guys get all the exposure on the podcast, and it was just I got a platform, I might as well use it and give us some exposure too on this side of things in the plastic boats. You know, so yeah, how you doing tonight, Chris? Hanging in there?
Doing good, man. Just getting ready for Panama City coming up in a couple of weeks. Trying to put some finishing touches on the preparation for that. We got a little bit of work still to do on our new trailer. We got a new trailer this year. Big 30-foot trailer with a huge, fold-out stage and dual TVs on it, running leaderboards and advertisements and stuff. We got to get some stuff finished up on that. Got some new stuff coming for live streaming the weigh-ins, new camera, new audio equipment, new streaming site for us to stream our to our YouTube channel and to a website for people to log in and watch the weigh-ins as they happen.
That's going to be pretty cool, because then that not only are y'all putting yourself out as well, it's also exposure for the anglers, which in turn helps both of y'all grow. So that's a great thing to have. Definitely. Brian, how you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, man. Just doing a lot of scouting for Panama City coming up on Google Maps, and we'll see what it turns into on Saturday for pre-fishing. So
cool deal. Andrew just jumped in, so we're going to add Andrew. Hey, good evening, brother. How you doing, man? Glad you're able to make it with us.
Oh, very good, man. I literally just got home and my computer did not want to let me join, so I just had to pull up my phone real quick.
Pull your phone. Yeah, Carlos is having the same issue right now. So, well, we got a full house right now anyway. So, that was looking forward to Panama City. That's one of the ones I'm not going to be able to make, man. It's just every one of the tournaments this year is lines up on my weekends that I work night shifts.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to work there he is. I have to work night shifts, so I'd have to burn 36 hours of vacation for each of those events. And pretty much every tournament this year, I think, I only have so much vacation, so I had to pick and choose a few. So actually, Jacksonville is going to be one of them because it's a Hobie Saltwater Series qualifier, and then Panacea just because I like that area. And we'll see what happens. Yeah. Carlos Gutierrez, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. You got us.
What's happening?
There you go.
Yeah,
you got
I had to jump
delay,
on my laptop.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure it out on my phone.
It's all good. You're on here. That's all that matters. So what we got, Chris in here as well. We're going to get with Chris and talk a little bit about the upcoming events here in a little while. But as of right now, I just want to know, Brian, he took the event winner in the Steinhatchee stop. Andrew, second place. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember what I saw on Carlos fourth. He had fourth in the event, finished on the podium as well, too.
Yeah, Carlos finished fourth.
Fourth. Yeah, podium as well, too. Cool deal. Well, we'll start, Carlos. We'll start with you. If you can give us a little, you don't have to give away all the juice, but, just tell us a little bit leading up to the event and then kind of recap a little bit of what was going on, as we all heard Chris talk in the beginning. It was like 26 degrees at launch and in negative tides as well. That's always fun.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me, and hello to everybody else in the group and everybody watching. So, one, I'm not really sponsored by anybody, so financially, it's always difficult. Even during scouting time, we have a boundary. Can you afford to be jumping on the north end of the boundary? Especially because I live in Inglis, so I'm on the beyond the south end of the boundaries. I was like, man, I knew the weather and the conditions, the tides were going to be an issue. So I was like, I'm just going to kind of play around closer to home. The key, I think, was creeks or areas, rivers that were going to hold water. And I knew that was going to be, everybody was going to be drawn to those same situations. Last year, I had fished an area, a zone on the south end.
Freezing up a little bit there.
Of the Steinhatchee boundary. I caught one fish.
All right, we're having some technical difficulties there with Carlos.
Played around a little bit more, and I found something.
If you can hear us. Yeah, we'll have to get you hold up on that, Carlos. We're getting you're cutting out on us there a little bit. Could be signal, it could be router background stuff. It can be weird. Okay, if you can hear us, go ahead and let me see how it's going to turn out there.
Can you hear me or no?
Now I can for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the screen went a little bit funky. But anyway, so I stayed on the south end of our boundaries, and I was almost going to wait an hour or two. I was like, I have no idea if I'll even be able to get out of here. And I did the worst thing for me. Like, it breaks my heart. I literally like graded my kayak, and
yeah, I remember you talking in a chat we had. You had to go through and drag out in some spots, so you definitely tore the kayak up a little bit there. Let you readjust. If you're getting somewhere that has a little better Wi-Fi, that'll help out.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. This does take.
I'm next to the router now.
There you go. Yeah, I know we had chatted a little bit, and you had said you had to drag out.
So hopefully this is better, and I won't cut out again.
Yep. There's just a little slight delay, so it's all good.
But anyway, so back to the story. Okay. So back to the story. So I ended up 7:30. I was like, you know what? I just need to get out and do what I need to do. I drug for a while, finally got to push poling, and I had found a spot that a tournament boat also had found. And we spoke a little bit pre-fishing the day before, and I said, at the end of their fishing day, and when I passed them again, I was like, are you guys coming back? They were like, no. I was like, all right, cool. They're like, Carlos, are you coming back? I was like, this is all I have. So even the night of, I was still doubting what my game plan was, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try it. And like I said, back to the beginning, I launched, I drug, got into this creek. The boat beat me by like an hour and a half at least. And we were able to fish mine. And I think everybody's going to probably say the same thing. A lot of slow Ned rig style finesse action on my bait, just on the bottom, just kind of bump, drag, and it was working fairly quickly. A lot of trout, and then my first redfish, and I was like ecstatic. And a boat finally got to see me. Like, it took me 10 minutes to get that boat in the kayak, or the fish in the kayak. I was almost falling out because there was a lot of pressure on my micro power pole, but finally everything got situated, got my first fish on the board. And then from there, once the boat started catching like fish after fish after fish, I was able to like, hey, can I get around you? And they were like, yeah. And so I finally got to fish where I wanted to fish behind them. And next cast in, boom, there was my second one. It was just a very tight little hole. It was high risk. If we back up to last year, first day of the championship, I put a lot of emphasis on one little area, and I caught fish there 3 days in a row. And it was like, are they there? Yes. Went back. Are you there? Are you here? They were. 3 days they were there. First day of the championship, the hardest pedaling I've ever done, they weren't there. And I knew that was going to be a possibility, but that's all I had. And there was one other gentleman that launched in the creek with me, but he went directly up. I went out. So I was literally the only kayaker in sight. So that's kind of what worked in my favor. And if I would have fished the hole that the boats were fishing, I probably could have plucked out a second place. I don't know if I could have ever caught Brian. Brian did a good job. You know, I saw him at like 49, 50 inches. The screen timed out, and boom, he comes out with like over 51. So I don't know if I would have caught Brian, but I was very happy with how I started this season. So just got lucky a little bit, and that was kind of my day.
Yeah, cool deal. Hey, Brian and Andrew, did you guys have the same thing where you found your fish congregated in a smaller area, tighter areas, and you kind of stuck in that area, or did y'all cover water?
Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah.
I covered a bit of water, but the fish I found were all just stacked up, and I'd fish that spot until it was either fished out, or I just didn't think I was going to get an upgrade out of it and move on.
And it just slow, methodical tempo for your lure.
Oh yeah, it was just cast in, let it hit bottom, and usually just wait about 5, 6, 7 seconds, and you either have a fish on or on the next little jump you do.
Yep. Oh yeah, just dead sticking it almost in, huh?
Yeah, they were stacked. I mean, they were just stacked on top of each other.
Any hole they had, they were probably stacked in there, because that's how they are here. It gets, that water temps get below 50 on the flats, and they're gone. They're like later. Same thing for you, Brian?
Yeah, it was the same exact situation for me. I didn't cover water. I'm not going to lie to you. I launched with Mr. Andrew, and I was the first one out of the creek. So I went to my spot. It was probably, I don't know, a quarter mile away from where we launched from. And I sat in the same 30-yard area for almost 7 hours. So
yeah. Structure or just deep cuts, deep channels?
It was one particular deep cut off of a sandbar, off the main channel where everybody else was going out of to the main creek. But I found it in pre-fishing, and it was just it's one of those areas that for whatever reason, it's the same depth as the other side of the sandbar. It had 2 oyster bars coming off of it, and I was just fishing a little area. I didn't pull my anchor up from the spot where where I finally got to my place at 7:30 ish, something like that. I didn't pull my anchor up until about 12:45. So
dang, and just sat there and upgraded.
Yep. Yeah, and it was I caught probably 60 or 70 redfish to the point where I was kind of getting tired of it. And then right towards the end, I upgraded my 22 to a 25 and a half. And I was like, what?
That pushed you up right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just, and the leaderboard was already off. And I was like, what? I'm just going to sit on this spot. I hate doing that to other anglers, but, it seemingly was the only spot that people were, consistently catching fish. So I sat there, watched a weird little otter throw stuff in the water right in front of me. I don't know if he was tired of me catching fish and throwing them back or what, but
he was getting mad. He's like, "Where's my snack, man?"
I was sending Snapchats to my wife, and she couldn't believe it either. So it was just one of those situations where you need to find a spot if you're lucky enough, which I was, and then just fish it until nothing hits anymore. And luckily for me, fish were biting both swings of the tide. So
I didn't see who had took big fish of the event. Who did take big fish?
That was,
I believe that was me.
That was you?
Yeah, I think it was him.
Yeah, you took big fish as well as
thought
first.
It was Brian.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Sir.
And Andrew, being you're an out-of-stater as well.
What's up?
You've done pretty well down there. Any
I've gotten to fish
on that, or you're familiar with some of that stuff down there?
I've gotten to fish Steinhatchee a couple times now, and the surrounding areas just with all the FRS tournaments. So I've gotten a little bit more familiar with it. The more I'm down there, and I mean the fish, are pretty much creatures of habit. So once you start finding what they're doing a couple times, they're usually still doing it another time.
Yeah, once you pattern them out, they're pretty good. And then it's just that time of year, January is just unpredictable everywhere on the Gulf Coast, with those fronts that come in and everything like that. So, with only having a limited number of days, it's even, if it's cold, you got to work this and do this, or if it's got some warm up and there's some sun and it's in the 60s, then they might be up sunning on the flats, and you can relevate, to that, So it's I don't know. You've had a knack for getting down there and figuring it out. So that's good. Kudos to that, man.
I didn't even get a chance to pre-fish this one. I got to Perry, Florida about midnight on Friday night.
Dang, yeah.
Put my finger on the map and said I'm going here, and it turned out to do all right. So
yeah. How many more are you planning to make the rest of the season?
I definitely hope to make Crystal River, Jacksonville, and St. Augustine. The next one I can't do. It's my daughter's birthday that weekend. So
yeah, family first. Yep. Yeah, I'll be at Jacksonville for sure. I'm already got that on the schedule. My sister is about 45 minutes from there, so place to stay. That's where I grew up, Brunswick, Georgia, St. Simons, and fished Fernandina. I fished all that, so hadn't fished in a long time, but that's where I grew up fishing. So hopefully, and get over there and do some good. It'd be nice.
There's some fishy water over there for sure. It's a little bit more lends to my style of fishing up here in North Carolina, kind of big river system fishing.
Just the bigger tide movement over there. Yeah. Chris Chu, holes were the way to go that day. Jesse says it's trying to get to Panama City. Tyler Jacobs said it was super cold that day. I think it warmed up a little bit, and the wind wasn't as bad, I guess, but
it wasn't terrible during the tournament, but it kicked up in the afternoon as we were weighing in.
It did kick up later, yeah. What goes into planning? If you could share with some people out there listening, as far as the dates and different things that you look at, does that have to do with the tourism board that you're dealing with?
Let's start this by, I promise you guys, I don't pick
the worst negative tide day,
moons, and the worst weather. It's not on purpose, okay?
We're just putting you on the spot. That's it.
There's a lot I have taken into consideration with not only other redfish series like the National Redfish Tour or the PRL or events like that. I also have to take into account Gavin's bass schedule because I'm the captain on his boat. So that leaves me with 2 weekends a month really that we can really fit one in, and we just have to kind of pick based on availability of the venues that we're choosing to go to. So that's where it's not to try to put you all on the weirdest moons or any of that. It's just, it has to do with scheduling conflict with other tournaments and other things I have going on in my personal life. So
thanks for sharing that with us. I know I'm probably wasn't the only one that was thinking about it, because I know organizing an event myself, it can be a hassle.
Yeah.
Definitely is, especially when you got family and life happens. I mean, we all do. Right. I'd love to make every single one of them, but it's just not going to happen.
Right.
I would like to if you don't mind, I'd like to chime in on that.
Yeah.
So that's my actual favorite part about, competing in these types of tournaments and stuff is you got to play the conditions, and it's not always going to be sunny and 75 and smiles all day. If it's raining and it's nasty weather, it really shows, if you put in the time and the work and that kind of stuff. And and I think it's awesome. If it's blowing 15, 20 miles an hour, you got to adapt and overcome. And that's one of the coolest parts about that. You have a set date. You're going to be there. You can fish the previous weekend and do all the pre-fishing you want. Those fish can move on. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of nerdy, but that's
time
that's
on the water trumps everything.
Well, any other series, like, I mean, you look at Bassmaster Elites, you look at any of these other big tournaments, like that's the date everybody fishes the same conditions. Now they make, if it's blowing 30 knots and they're not going to send them out, I get that, but everybody's fishing the same conditions. So it's up to you to make those changes and figure it out. It's kind of one of the reasons, some people will give us a bunch of crap because of how we do our angler of the year and our team of the year. It's every tournament.
Yeah.
You want to take that prize and you want to take that you're the best of this series. You need to show us that you're the best in all these different fisheries, all these different conditions, different times of year. Not just handpick the two that you want to go to in your home water and fish the championship. No, you're the team of the year or the angler of the year. That's just not accurate to me. I base a lot of what we do on bass, right? And what those guys do. Those guys don't complain about where they fish, when they fish. They know when the schedule is. They show up and fish, and they fish all of them to see who's the best. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah. And then the next event is what? Panama City, February 20th.
Panama City's coming up February 22nd, and then we're in Jacksonville March 15th.
April back in Panacea.
You talk about you love fishing Panacea, man. Maybe 2 years ago we were talking about moving that event somewhere else, and I got blown up about that. Like we love like from all over the state, from like you out there, people in Texas, Georgia, South Carolina, like we love coming and fishing Panacea. That's like our favorite stop.
That's the that St. Mark's area, that
Panacea.
This is the lost coast of Florida, and there's always great little restaurants to eat at. Just the hospitality of everybody's super cool. It is.
That's our beat. Mine and Gavin's stomping grounds for tournament fishing is Panacea. We love fishing there. I tell everybody asks me about that place, and you got boaters that'll run the Steinhatchee. You got boaters that'll run the Panama City from there. I'm like, dude, y'all can win this tournament and never leave sight of this barn. There's winning fish that close in that area. There are tons of fish in that area. You just got to know where to find them.
Oh, right there in Panacea? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Panacea is a great fishery. Great fishery.
Yes. Panama City is going to be interesting. Man, I really wanted to make that one.
I'm looking forward to
it's going to be killer.
Hosting the Saltwater Tournament champions out of there. I think it's going to be unique venue for everybody. That time of year, the fall, is really good.
Oh, that's really good down there.
We're going to have a beautiful place to do it out of, the Point South Marina. Same place we're doing the tournament this weekend. They've already said they're in to host the championship there. It's going to be a 2-dayer this year, though.
Yeah, I'm glad. Is it going to be a mixed bag like Louisiana did theirs? Is it going to be strictly redfish?
We haven't decided that yet.
Okay. I like the mixed bag events. That's
those mixed bag events can be fun. The big thing is, it's going to be a 2-dayer. If you're going to be a championship, it's got to be 2 days. You can luck in. No offense, guys. You can luck into winning a 1-day tournament. You're not going to luck into winning a 2-day tournament.
No, you got to put in the work.
You got to put in the work, and you got to be consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian, you 2 days in a row for a championship, man.
Championship hammered them.
During that championship, I caught 4 fish total for both days.
Yeah.
And they were the ones that counted. So
that's the ones that counted.
That was a tough tournament for everybody, I believe.
Yeah, we had you on for the championship recap, and now you're on a roll. You start the first event out of the year with another win.
Hey, Brian,
Andrew did well in that tournament too. I remember that.
Brian, you want to? Are you going to get into angler awards anytime soon? I'm just curious because
Lose out on that.
$50 costs you
About
$850
$800
this weekend and $1,000 at the championship, I think. So it's cost you about $1,800.
Don't do it.
As you all may know, I always sign up at the last second that I possibly can, and it all depends on how pre-fishing goes. And I'm not gonna lie, for the season opener this year, I had surgery on my back and my neck, and so I just really wasn't feeling it. I got sick on Friday before the tournament. I got off the water at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. It was just like everything was pointing me in the direction of not going with Angler Awards, and obviously I should have, but hindsight is 2020. So
that's right. You can't win it if you're not in it.
Right.
There you go.
Sorry, Fish with Chris. It's the Forgotten Coast, not the Lost Coast. I knew it was something like that. It's still pretty dang rad over there. It's pretty dang rad.
Chris, is that McEachern?
It's a young picture.
That's a young picture, if that is.
Yeah. And then Tyler Jacobs said, yeah, he thinks Chris and the crew do a great job, which they do. Great weigh-ins. Everything's always fun.
Thanks, Ty.
Thanks, we appreciate it.
Feature the anglers and all that.
If you have
a wife in there too, Chris, she can jump on. She can get on camera. She don't gotta be scared.
She says she don't want to. She's her and my partner Jimmy, or they don't want to do any of this. They want to be the people.
They're in the background.
In the background. Kelly does so much. You guys have no ideas. I know y'all thank me or Jimmy, but Kelly does so much behind the scenes with registration and social media. We really wouldn't be where we are without her. Jimmy's wife, Stormy, our friend Ashley, my son Gavin, they help out and work at all the events. Gavin runs the tank lines and the bag line and keeps those guys straight. We brought in Mr. Dave Nauman this year as the associate director on the kayak side, which I think has been a really big success so far. It just, no offense to anybody else out there, those judging companies, we have such, and you can attest to this, our rules are probably some of the tightest rules, I think, of any kayaks that I've seen, just looking and listening to what people do and what I've seen guys do in other tournaments. But when you're trying to do a true trail for you guys, like those rules have to be tight like that. So I think there's just too many little quirks that they didn't quite get that somebody who fished our series for 2 or 3 years or 2 years can really understand. So we brought Dave in this year, and the first tournament was great. I heard everybody was just so impressed with how Dave handled everything and contacted anglers when there's an issue, and if a fish got DQ'd or whatever. So he did a great job with that. So I've got a fantastic crew. None of this would have been possible without them. And they were volunteers for the first 3 years. They didn't start, us being able to pay them because we invested everything we can into growing the series. So I appreciate them for hanging with us for as long as they did. Yeah. On a volunteer basis until now. So, but like I said, everything we do is to make the series better every year.
There's Robert White had a question. He said he's new to the series, but how did the Steinhatchee event play into the Panhandle tournaments? In other words, am I behind if I fish the Panama City and the other upcoming tournament?
Am I behind? No. So you'd only be behind if you want to go for that Angler of the Year. Yeah. You can still qualify for our championship, which we did something a little different this year with that. On the kayak side, you have to fish a minimum of 2 and finish in the top 50 in points. So only the top 50 in points are going to our championship. Boat sides fish 2 and finish in the top 75 in points. So you can still win a division. We do have the West Coast division, the East Coast division, and the Panhandle division. So you can win one of those divisions as a divisional champ, which you'll receive 2 bonus points for winning a division.
Might have followed.
Right, you might have voluntold them. That's my partner Jimmy right there.
There you go.
They got voluntold.
Yeah.
But so they can still jump in, man. Still qualify for the championship. You just probably not going to be able to make a run at that Angler of the Year or Team of the Year for your boat or kayak.
And then he also had a question about the upcoming boundaries for the canal in Port St. Joe. Can he fish the bay, the tip of the Cape? it's in the boundaries, I would say yes.
It's in the boundaries.
Yeah.
But
It's in the boundaries. So that line that'll bisect that canal in Port St. Joe bisect the middle of that bay, and that's where the boundary is.
yeah, well, it should go across to like I have to look at it, but Cape Sandblast possibly, yes.
Cape Sandblast, yes, that's what that actually is down there.
But
There's some good water all over there.
Well, St. Joe's a beautiful place to fish.
I'm missing fishing that.
You know, people ask, I'll go ahead and put this out there so anybody watching this will know. Like, don't go pre-fish for any of our tournaments based on what we've done for boundaries in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries are subject to change.
They're changing.
You know, we have a rules committee that we listen to. It's a group of 5 or 6 of the kayak anglers that hear the talk and hear the scuttlebutt and the complaints or whatever. So we try to make things better. And one of the things that got complained about was the boundaries were so big that they couldn't get back to the weigh-ins in time to either participate or to file a protest or any of that stuff. So, 30 miles, a 30-mile radius from wherever we're doing the actual weigh-in at is what we're going with. We're not putting these big boundaries out there like we had.
Man, I miss that though. I'll be honest. I like to push the envelope on the distance I can go, and if I find something, I find something out there.
But hey, I'll let you relaunch. So
yeah, we can relaunch now.
Which one you want now?
I like it all. I mean, we don't have boundaries here normally. It's the tip of Texas to the bottom of Texas, and we bring live fish back in a kayak too, which makes it even harder. So you got to have fish care come into play and all that good stuff too. But it comes down to angler responsibility and time management of getting.
Trust me, that is hard to get people to understand.
That's the bottom line.
We give you all these parameters, right? Of this is the time, this is the place, this is everything you should need to know. It's up to you to manage your tournament to get where you're supposed to be, to submit your photos or whatever.
Well, and if you make a deadline to be at the awards by a certain time, then that makes you get off the water earlier if you have to, which a lot of tournaments here would be like, if you're not here at this cutoff time, you're disqualified anyways if you're in the money. Bye. I mean, it's cut and dry.
Yeah. I think I even had somebody, we had a newbie come to the series this year. I think their fish got DQ'd for an obvious rules infraction. And he's like, I didn't know that was a rule. We're like, well, it literally says, click here for a picture of how it's supposed to be and how it's not supposed to be. I'm like, I don't know how much clear cut we can get with this is how it is and this is how it shouldn't be. What's our opinion of live scopes on kayaks?
Oh, I do it for big trout already. It's all good.
Well, there's no rules on live scope with us. Like, that's not something we want to get into. That we'll let the NPFL get into that, banning that stuff.
Yeah.
Usually not enough water to even use a live scope.
Yeah, on the flats it's not but deep structure and bulkheads.
Perspective mode. As long as you got 18 inches or so, you can use perspective mode. We can do it all the time. Gavin's bass fishing, scoping fish off beds, up to about 18 inches it'll work.
There's a secret out there with it. There's some structure wise, it's pretty dang good. It's pretty tough to beat. Got to dabble in it a little bit last winter. That
live scope, man, that stuff is unbelievable.
It can take your time up though.
Well, I disagree. I'll tell you what it does for us. It helps us eliminate water.
Yep.
Dead water. On the bass fishing side, and Gavin has gotten really good at snatching fish off of beds with it. That he can tell you within 2 casts if that fish is going to eat. Like, you can see the fish's little body mannerisms on there enough to say, okay, that one, we'll leave that one alone. We'll go to the next one. And when he pulls up on one and says, oh, that one's going to eat, normally within like 3 to 5 casts, it's in the boat.
Yeah.
So it definitely is a game changer.
Yep, it is. It has its place for sure.
Right.
Anything else y'all you want to add for upcoming events? Any changes or any other things coming about?
Don't have any changes, I don't think, do we, Kelly? We're still pretty much on the same plan, knock on wood, with everything. The only Their only venue that we are still continuing to get updates on for housing and getting the docks and stuff in is Cedar Key.
Cedar Key. Yeah.
No.
They got the worst of it last year, I believe.
They did. Actually, one of the boat anglers reached out and gave me a contact of, I think it's a couple of hotels there in Chiefland that are going to do some discounted rates to make sure we got enough places for.
That a little further away. They're just going to make it.
Chiefland's not very far.
It's not too far.
Sorry, you're my sidekick in there now.
There you go. He just wants to make a cameo back there. What's up? He's probably like, what's going on, man? Yeah, I'm excited to get over there. I'm probably at least making 3. I think Jack, St. Augustine, and Panacea. So I'm excited. It's just a long haul.
Oh, I know it is, man.
Panacea is about 12. Jacksonville is like 14.
You're probably our second longest trip. Angler taking the second longest trip. We got a guy coming back from Canada again this year.
Oh goodness!
What?
Came down and fished Panama City last year. I think he finished second.
Dang.
He's coming back. He already paid his membership.
Panama City. He's ready to go. Signed up, ready. Yeah. Carlos, what you got to add? You gonna make Panama City? You getting over there?
Yeah, we'll make Panama City. I know a couple guys have already headed on down and started scouting and trying to look at spots or eliminate locations. The boundary shrinkingness has affected where I had planned on launching from. So now that's out of boundary. So that did affect me. I have 1 day of Panama City experience, and we're just going to have to maybe try to head down 1 day over a weekend maybe and just scope things out, look at launches, water condition, and just try to invest a little bit of time because I did okay last year, Panama City. I don't remember, but probably for sure top 15, for just showing up and fishing. I was super pleased at how I did. But now my zone is completely out, so I have to just look at some options now. Been studying from home, just Google Maps and whatever I can just to find something that I think will keep me away from other anglers. And just see if I could find that spot or location that Scott Pritchard, he makes kind of fun of me. He calls me like a bushwhacker. So I do the crazy stuff that you probably shouldn't do, or, most people wouldn't do. And, but I think that's what one thing that you got to sometimes do, in my opinion, to get away from where others might just take the easier road. And, like I say, a lot of what I'm doing is just trying to stay away from people. And it may or may not work. Fishing is fishing. The fish are going to be there or not. But if I can be the only one in the area, at least I don't have competition for that one fish or that 100. So that's kind of always just been my game plan. So I just got to kind of get over to Panama City and just check things out that I think might look good from Google Earth or whatever other site, and just get eyes on the water and just kind of see what it's like and go from there.
Yeah, that's what Brian, you were saying you'd already been doing some map study and everything. And I had been as well the last few weeks thinking I was going to be able to make that event. And I'm just looking at Google Maps and you can see some of the launches and some dead end roads and different things there. There's some great looking water over there.
And that's one thing that I would like to harp on as well. There's a lot of areas that are kind of restricted. You got the Tyndall Air Force Base over there.
Yes.
Where you're going to need a special permit to actually fish. So if there's any anglers that are newer to the series, that might be something they want to think about. I'm like Carlos. I've only fished Panama City one time. All the other times I fished Panama City would be offshore fishing. So as far as inshore, one time I went, and that was for the tournament last year. I believe I did pretty decent as well. I got 2 fish, which is all that really matters at the end of the day. And, you know, it's just one of those things that if you're not from the area, it could be pretty tough. I fished the southeastern point of Cape San Blas last year, that long flat going up to Black's Island. That's out of bounds this year. So I have a place mapped out, but it is 5 miles from the boat ramp one way.
Yeah.
So like Carlos, sometimes, you know, to find decent fish, you need to get away from everybody and everything.
Get in the work and get
and
there.
do things that people don't want to do. And we'll see if that pans out on Saturday. It's the only day I get to pre-fish. So
yeah.
Hey,
5 miles in
that's something else changing the boundaries does. It keeps the same guys from going back and the same holes and winning every same tournament every year.
Yeah,
exactly.
It changes all that stuff up. So
that's another one of the fun parts about it is half the battle is doing research on what the weather's going to be doing, what the fish trends that you know and are used to are going to be doing, and you know, boundary changes and everything like that. What boat ramp is the closest, or what can I do in the amount of time that I'm allotted, and that kind of thing. So,
and like you said, making sure you got the right permitting to launch it. You know, especially some of the stuff there around Tyndall and some of those that was it Goose Lagoon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And even
how's the timing of it?
Even finding a you know, a public boat ramp. You know, there's a lot of dead end roads that look like it has a turnaround where an airboat or a kayak can get out of, but it might be a private road. It might be owned by a company or an entity that's, you know, not open to the public, and that's another thing that people have to think about. There's 1,000 places you can launch over there. There's only a handful of places that you can actually launch from.
Yeah. Google Street View, you can usually see the signs.
There you go. There you
go. Might have gave something away, but yeah, it's out there. There's plenty of stuff out there. And then, you know, a big proponent sometimes is finding those, you know, it helps find the YouTube anglers from those areas and look at their videos and see where they're launching and see what they're doing. Half the time, most of them give all their spots away to gain subscribers anyway. So, you know, if you can get some intel that way too, have at it. There's so much information on the internet. Ever since social media and the internet came along, there's really no more secret spots, so to say. It's crazy. Everything is out there almost. Granted, there's a few stuff.
I think I try that. I try to jump on YouTube and do the same thing, but I always find that, you know, this one's in February, and I'll find somebody fishing. You know, they post their video and it's in April, May, or June, and it's just not the right time of year. So it's close, but it's not the same exactly. So I mean, I think everybody's trying that. You know, you're trying to do whatever you can to learn an area because you don't live there. So, but like Brian says, you just gotta get out there.
We do it all the time for the bass fishing stuff, man. We're headed to Smith Lake for national qualifier, Bassmaster High School qualifier, and we've never been there a day in our life. So we're gonna be going. We've been watching a lot of YouTube videos.
I imagine put into work.
And that's another cool thing about, you know, Panama City and a lot of the areas that the tournament is hosting these events. You know, you can catch the same redfish at 100 yards from the boat ramp than you can 5 miles away. It's all about, you know, right place at the right time, and that's the cool thing about tournament fishing. So,
yeah, it can get on it. Who else we got? We got a couple more comments on here. Said you can go for days and not see another redfish. Really that. They average 40 to 6 kayaks. Yeah, 90% of the field will sign the weekly. That's he was asking about how many kayakers will sign up. Probably, yeah, you'll probably be in that same number.
Kelly answering questions on social media when we're doing that.
Yeah,
but she's right. 90% of the field, boats and kayaks, they'll register like at Tuesday through Friday. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That last minute, Brian just said he was one of those too. So.
I'm gonna get better this year, I promise.
I just gotta find out how bad the weather's gonna be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't have wind like we had last year.
that's the thing. Some people are the fair weather fishermen come out when that lines up, there's no wind and everything. Then that's how it is here. You have a lot bigger turnout. And then
I'm
when
sure
you got
it cost us 10 or 15 in Steinhatchee on both sides.
Yeah. From how cold it was.
Yeah, 10 or 15 boats and kayaks just because of how cold it was. Like, I really feel like with our format and our entry fees and our payouts that we could see something in that 100 boat tournament this year. It may be Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Being a saltwater qualifier for you guys, being a NRT qualifier for the boat side. So I really would like to see another 100 boat. I don't think anybody's seen a 100 boat field since the IFA days.
Yeah.
So,
and the bass side, just like they did down there.
Well, I'm talking about saltwater.
Just saltwater side, yes.
Yeah, saltwater side. Nobody's seen a 100 boat field since the IFA days.
We'll see that for the Hobie Saltwater Series qualifier here. We'll see over 100 for that one because there's normally about 140, and that's normally a Hobie owners tournament. But this year they opened it up. They added it about a week and a half ago.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Man, I hope we get a full field at the Saltwater Tournament Champions this year. Like
we should. They should have rolled down more spots last year, and they would have filled it. I thought. I'm just glad I can make multiple ones of those. I'm trying to fish every one of those this year. That's one of my goals, to make every Hobie event for sure. Andrew, you trying to make those too?
Yeah, I'll definitely try and make Jacksonville. It's a great fishery there. I love it there.
Alabama too. We got a nice relationship with that place too.
Yeah, man. If you're gonna be there, hit me up. Maybe we'll go find some bulls.
No, I'm gonna be there. I will be at that one for sure. I got the weekend off. Only got to take like a day off to get one extra day of pre-fishing. So I'm definitely gonna be at that one. So what's any other anything going on with y'all? Y'all got any other series or anything else y'all fish, or y'all just strictly sticking to the Florida Redfish Series and the Hobie qualifiers?
I've been thinking about doing some of these local bass tournaments. They got a couple areas over here in the Big Bend area, like they got Lake Jackson. They just had Lake Talquin not too long ago. Lake Jackson's probably, I don't know, 5 miles away from my house. So
that's the one that had the sump and it kind of drained a little bit and it's coming back. Yeah, the sinkhole. Yeah, it
has a sinkhole that opens up, periodically every 10 years or so, and that opened up, I think, a couple of years ago. But the fishery really has bounced back amazing, and there's a ton of vegetation in the lake, so plenty of places to hit some topwater bites, and that's usually what I do is I throw a big old speed worm or a big swim bait and burn it across the surface and wait for that explosion. So it's fun to me. I don't fish freshwater that often. I used to do bass fishing tournaments when I was a teenager, but similar to your son. But it's one of those things that I'm thinking about dabbling into in the off weeks that we're not, preparing for the upcoming tournaments in the Redfish Series. So
that's what I do. I kind of feel my little weekends that I have available, especially if they're within a couple hours. Right. It's always I'm super competitive anyway. So if I can't get away and jump in a bass event, I will. It's always fun, I just like in the camaraderie with everybody, as well.
Man, I'd rather go catch 8-pound redfish than 8-pound ditch pickles any day.
Yes, same. I'd rather catch, I'd rather go throw a sight cast redfish any day than catch the bass. Yeah.
Like, I have fun with Gavin traveling and doing all that, and he loves bass fishing. But man, I'd rather go chase redfish than anything else.
No doubt. Any big plans for looking about the same event-wise for 2026?
5
events. Is it 5 this year? 5?
6.
6.
I don't know. Jimmy and I have talked about some possibilities for 2026. We'll make that decision and make an announcement toward the end of the year. But there will be some kind of tournaments going on.
Yeah.
With us putting them on, but can't tell you where they'll be, when they'll be, or any of that right now. So we still got a little bit of stuff we're going to work through on that.
Heard a couple of anglers wishing for maybe the lagoon over there on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I'm starting to make a rebound.
Hey, I've heard it's a good fishery, and a lot of people are that live over there that fish the tournament series are kind of pulling for that. So
Yeah.
that'd be interesting. It's pretty far away for me, but I can't complain when we have somebody in the realm that's coming from North Carolina. So
Yeah.
In Texas.
In Texas.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all in fun. Well, I can't not put this comment up there. You know me.
Oh, Lord.
Oh God, please don't.
Well, yeah. Enough of that. I had another tachycardia this week, so yeah. Me and pedaling don't work.
I don't
Yeah.
understand the purpose of getting into kayak fishing and then wanting to put a motor on it. Like that just like you can say it's cheaper. No, you can buy a boat and fish in the boat division. I just don't understand the thought process of that myself.
Yeah.
I'm
a kayak angler, not a kayak peddler. That's simple enough right there. And I have heart problems. That's why.
I can understand your personal needs in it, but when we first started this thing, the group that we talked to, or the group of people we talked to.
I mean, it wasn't even just a group; it was a ton of people that were against.
Anyway, a ton of people that we talked to when we started to kick this thing off was like, please keep it a purist sport of pedal or paddle driven kayaks, and we've kind of stuck with that.
Yeah. Oh no, I got respect for that, no doubt.
Sorry. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or nothing, but in my mind, that's just I see a kayak is paddle or pedal. That's just if you're gonna put a motor on it, it's a boat.
Yeah.
You got to register it, all that good stuff. So it's a freaking boat.
No motors. Everybody's so anti-motor. Chris Dunning, no motors.
I'm telling you, there are a lot of people that are purists.
Yeah.
There's a lot more out there than you
I
think.
was paddling before a lot of it. Before
the motors even came out, I was paddling. The pedal drives, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can see paddling being terrible. Like,
oh, it's tough. I mean, you got to learn how to juggle the rod and you're repositioning.
You get really good at paddling with one hand.
Yes, you do. Yeah, and using your elbow and your under your arm and the reposition.
If you grew up ever having to scull a boat, you might know what sculling is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know what sculling is, so that's why I was asking. I said that one time. My son's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, that's what you do in a john boat when you got a little paddle and not a trolling motor.
Yep.
Be quiet.
Well, there's one for it. James, he's a Aldridge. Chris Chu, no motors, but I don't mind competing against him. Yeah, the motors don't catch the fish. I agree. It helps you spread out. It helps you cover more water and get away from everybody.
You shouldn't need motors now that I allow relaunching, right? So you
can exactly
somewhere else now, right?
But when Brian said earlier about having to go 5 miles from the launch, that's a 10-mile round trip in a pedal kayak. That's a good haul. And I used to do that back in the day. Yeah, there's a lot. There were some trails that didn't allow motors, or when you didn't have one, and I was a little bit younger.
But that goes back to
give and take.
Angler preparation.
Right. Same. Right? Yep.
So everything kind of circles back to it's all on the angler. It's all in your preparation and your execution, like Carlos says.
Mm-hmm.
Be willing to be that guy to pull your kayak through the woods or whatever. If it's a public area, whatever it takes to get where you need to go, as long as it's within the rules.
Yeah.
That comes down to your tournament day plan.
Yeah, there's a lot on there coming. They just had another one. No motors. Well, then don't come to our Hobie Saltwater Series qualifier because there's motors. All good. Everybody to each their own. That's what
right.
We have these conversations for. That's right there. That's what it's all about.
We put everything out there in the beginning. You know what you get when you come fish with us. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's not like it's a surprise that there's no motors.
Yep. That's
you can use motors in pre-fish.
Pre-fish. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be using them in Jacksonville to pre-fish. Trust me.
There's nothing. We don't say anything about you can't use motors in pre-fish. Just make sure you are within the law and you got a motor on it. It's registered like it should be. Don't break any FWC rules while you're here. But
That's
you're
the
more
main
welcome
thing.
to use motors during pre-fish.
Yep. Cover the water and find them. And go back and use that leg power. All
I do have a
good.
question.
Yeah.
This one goes to Andrew. This question goes to Andrew since he's been kind of quiet, and I'm just kind of curious. Since he seems to like Jacksonville, how does North Carolina? How is it similar or different from the East Coast?
So I live right near the inlet to the Cape Fear River. So it's basically the main watershed that runs through North Carolina. It's a naturally 60-foot deep channel that jets out our coast. So Jacksonville's got some of those same kind of features: deep channels, big river systems, and it's just
That's St. John's River.
fish.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say Carolina's got 6 to 8 foot tide swings up there, don't they? Just
Yes,
like
they do.
Jacksonville.
The tide.
Yes.
Yes, they do. Yeah, our water gets moving.
The
Yeah,
tide
sure.
swings is what freaks me out.
Yeah,
First
actually,
of all,
the last Jacksonville tournament, I didn't make it back to the awards because I was stuck in the mud about
You were?
200 yards away from where we launched. So there was about 5 of us that were just completely stuck. There was nowhere to go. You couldn't even drag your kayaks out. They were suctioned to the bottom.
Jeez.
That was in North Carolina?
That was in Jacksonville.
Oh, in
One
Jacksonville.
of the FRS last
Jacksonville,
year.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
that must have been your secret. You got a lot of practice in that mud dragging your kayak, because
Yes,
we
sir.
launched from the same spot and I was the first one out and I had my buddy right behind me. We were probably 100, 150 feet in front of everybody else behind us. Next thing you know, we got out to the mouth of the creek and Mr. Andrew was right behind us. I was like, there's no way, and you know what, that he caught
You
up
should
to us that quick.
You had them legs pumping.
Oh, goodness
should have
gracious. He's
seen
going through
you
there
should
like
have
a
seen all the
bull.
guys with the motors down in Louisiana when I popped out into the lake in front of them because I crossed the bay.
Oh, goodness.
Mm-hmm. No, you put it. Yeah, you can get it. You can get those Hobie drives moving. You can get them moving for sure. What? Anybody else got anything they want to add? I think we've been on there about an hour. We'll wrap it up with some final comments and from everybody. And man, I just want to say I appreciate y'all coming on, taking the time to come join us on here and recap that Steinhatchee event, and looking forward to seeing how Panama City plays out here in a couple of weeks. So, any wrap up anything there, Andrew? Anybody you want to give a shout out to or thank you to? Yeah,
I definitely want to give a shout out to Chris.
How much we appreciate you guys and following us and coming and trusting us to put on a good show for you and a fair show. And that goes for the boaters and the kayak side. To grow this thing, what we've grown it to in just our 5th year, has been tremendous. And a lot of that has to do with the anglers that are involved in it. We got a lot of good anglers that are involved with the series and continue to be involved with it, and help recruit people to come fish. That helps a lot with sponsors and us wanting to continue to do it. So we appreciate all the anglers. And I appreciate my staff. We'll tell all of them thank you. Kelly, Gavin, Jimmy, my partner, Ashley, Stormy, Dave Nauman. Those guys help make it really fun to do, for sure. Keeps it fun, and they run it really well.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Andrew?
Yeah, I definitely want to give a shout out to Chris and his whole staff. They have done just an awesome job, like just totally embracing the kayak side over the last few years. And I mean, it really shows. I mean, all the guys love the tournament. It's just a fantastic atmosphere. So if you haven't fished it, come fish it. It's a blast.
Brian?
Yeah, same thing. Thank you to Chris and all the staff. I know it's logistically probably pretty difficult to get everybody on the same page, and we certainly appreciate what you guys do throughout the entirety of the season. Thank you to my fishing team as well. Carlos spoke upon it earlier. It's pretty hard financially on a lot of people. So if you're able to get with a group of people, even us, feel free to give us a shout out. We typically have an area where we're camping or something like that, if somebody needs to crash or something like that, let us know. We can certainly try to help out the best as possible. And yeah, thank you to all the anglers and everything. Everybody always brings the heat. It's always a fun time, and I look forward to the rest of the season.
Right on. Carlos?
I'd like to start off by saying that one of the things that I always take away that I've been further able to grow is just the camaraderie amongst the people that you meet, get to talk to, bump into, launch with, and I enjoy that. I think the most. Fishing is fishing. It may happen, and you win it. You may not. You may skunk out, but you try your best. And I think that's really what it's all about, just doing the best no matter what the outcome is. You stuck with the game plan, you committed, you went through, and then the fish that you could have caught 100 fish, all 20 inches or 15 inches or all 27s. Sometimes you don't have control over some of the outcomes of what fish eat or why they don't eat, but I think, did you enjoy the camaraderie, the competition? And I want to beat everybody's guts, and I want everybody else to beat my guts, but then I want to say good job at the end of the day, no matter what the outcome was. So I'll say that is number one for me. And for the guys behind the scenes that are running the series and have a lot of responsibility, then not everybody's always going to agree, but they still put this on for us and allow us to do this and other series like this. I think that means a lot to us. And then on a side note, because, I do talk about finding that place that's always away from everybody. But I was thinking about it there was an incident, Steinhatchee, your life jackets, your PDFs. Only once have I ever, well, except this last time I did launch with one other gentleman, I think John from Pensacola. And, but where I fished, luckily there was another boater there, but where I'm normally at, there's nobody there. And if I ever got in trouble, I'm relying on myself to get back to safety somehow. And PDFs and the one incident that happened in Steinhatchee where somebody, I don't want to say names, if somebody got stuck in the mud. And like these tides, what if it was something crazy where it was a big tide, you got stuck in the mud, like your body's stuck in the mud. So there's also dangers that I think nobody talks about. And I was laying in bed, like I think it was last night, thinking about it. I was like, what would I do if this ever happened to me? So I think people also think about fishing, but you also have to be prepared for worst case scenarios ahead of time. And what can you do to prevent those things or get out of those situations once they happen? So I want to throw that out there to the if in a boat, I think they'd more than likely be okay. Help can come quicker, but in a kayak, if you're out by middle of nowhere by yourself, your phone could be in your kayak. Your kayak drifts away 10 feet away from you. You can't get to your kayak. How are you going to get help? Or your phone dies. It's just things to think about. So I think from that, everybody stay safe and think of backup plans.
Yeah, one of these tournaments is not worth your life by any means. I know the person you're talking about was that Carlos, and they actually called me and they called Kelly, and Kelly had had an airboat there to him in like 30 or 45 minutes. And she contacted a guy we know down there who knows everybody, and he called a buddy that's down there in that area, and he went out there in his area. He said, send me the coordinates, I'm on my way. And the guy in the airboat went out there and helped that angler out. But yes,
man, yeah, self-rescue and all that comes into play big time. That's a great topic right there. Talk about that some more.
Yep,
for sure on the next one. Well, I look forward to seeing how Panama City plays out, and hopefully have Andrew, you said it's your daughter's birthday, but hopefully have a couple have you two back on here, Brian and Carlos, go down there and kick some butt for us, and hope everything runs smooth. Chris, I appreciate y'all taking the time this evening to come on the show, and thank you to all the listeners and who all's watching, everybody watching this on all the platforms, and we'll recap the Panama City one when it's done.
Sounds
See
good.
how it pans out. So yeah, I appreciate y'all joining me this evening, and thank y'all, and have a good evening, everybody.
You too, bud.
All right.
Good
have
luck.